Hi, Faith. It's April. I am reviewing your work, and let me go ahead and pull up your styles here so we can take a look at what you did. All right. All right. So, just a few things. I noticed that your typeface is very bold. We want to, for your body copy, we want to make sure that this is set to not so bold because it makes it harder to read. So let's go ahead and do less bold here. Let's see, Franklin Gothic. I don't know if there is actually a less bold than that. So maybe in this instance, let's try maybe Helvetica New, just something simple. And I would scale this down to at least 10 by 14. Okay, so 10 points by 14 point letting, that's a good 20% ratio of space, making it easier to read. The next thing I would do, you have your indents spaced right, you have your align to grid, that's perfect. Click OK. Just, fix any weird spacing that you see here. Looks good. The first intro copy can be bolder, but what I would do is probably just kind of space this out a little bit more. And because I choose Helvetica for the other one, I'm going to do Helvetica bold for this one, just so it's consistent. And because it's so bold, let's go ahead and break it down to the same size. We're just going to have 10 points by 14 points. We're just going to make it bold. Like, okay. And that should be enough to set it apart. You don't have to have it so bold where it's, it looks kind of odd. So you can kind of tell that, it's definitely more important copy to read after you read the heading, and then you go into the body copy. Then I would pull this copy, the subhead in towards this copy so that it goes together. And it looks like, oh, you have a character style. I would probably do a centered alignment if you can here. I don't know if you have the option to do that here. Let me see if that changes it. Yeah, just do a center alignment. I think that'd be good. So I just changed it to center. Table of contents. It's a little odd being up here. I think this looks like a last minute, like I don't know where to put it. And it should have its own little space. So we're going to pull it all the way down here in this corner. Have its own little space here. We're going to take the stroke off. We don't need that. Keep it simple and very light. And do we have any text hiding in here? No, we're good. Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to group your box, hold down the shift key and select both your copy box with your box. You're going to go to object group, and it's important to do this step before you go to the next step because actually, you know what, before we even do that, let me zoom in here. It looks like we need to change this. Let's fix this. So do I do a shift return here? And yeah, your tabs aren't set right here too. Okay. What do I do? Okay, so just take that next word down and get rid of all of this. I think you keyed that in. Go ahead and get rid of all of that. Delete that. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to select this copy. This must be a space here. Here we go. Select just this copy. We're going to go double click on table of contents. All right. And we're going to go to tabs. This is how you correctly set your tabs. We want to set, it looks like you have them set here, which is good. We just need one tab. So we're going to do one tab. We're going to set it right about here, right at the end. And then see where it says leader? We're just going to click in there and do a period. That's all we need. And then click OK. Now, click back in here. Once you deleted all that keyed in leaders, we're going to hit tab in front of the numbers. Just hit that tab key and it should tab it perfectly with your leaders included. Okay, so then take your get your selection tool, select the table contents copy, hold the shift key, select this box, object group. And then what we want to do is go up to window and we want to choose text wrap. And we're going to choose that second button there. And any copy behind it will be bumped over to the next line. All right, the next thing is I'm going to move this copy down This copy box looks like you have a space here. Click your type tool in front of meeting and hit delete, delete, delete. You have an extra space there. Perfect. And then you have the subhead here, but it shouldn't have body copy selected. Let's make a paragraph style out of this. So let's do new paragraph style. We're gonna make this say subhead, and everything's fine. The only thing I want to change is the indents and spacing. We want to take that first indent out. So click OK. So now I would just set all of your subheads to this. Now, if you have any weird spacing like that, it's gonna change your type. So you want to make sure you don't have any weird spacing like that. So to me, there's a extra space here that's doing this. So let's get this space out. And the way you want to do spaces is delete all these spaces because it looks like you put these in manually. Like a space here too. There we go. Get rid of that space. There we go. What we want to do is we want to do a space for your body copy. So go ahead and double click body copy. We want to select indents and spacing, and space after is what we want. So we want to select, you know, like 0.125, for example. And that way, let's see, any type of spacing that you have, which should be like here, should be, there we go. It should space it equally, okay? Fix any type of widow, like here, I would do a shift return, so the goes down, same thing here, shift return, same thing here, maybe up here, because it's a hyphen, shift return. It looks good. And now it doesn't seem like I select here, subhead. There isn't a space here. Any copy. It looks like you don't have your, it says all lines. Click OK. I'm just going to delete your subhead up here in your character styles. I don't think you need that. I think that's kind of screwing things up here. You just need a paragraph style for that. And then, yeah, just kind of reset everything. Now let me bump this down just a little bit. Just make sure your, my baselines are still not aligning here. For some reason there's a weird space. Let me see, is it in front of this one? Oops. Copy this space. Yeah, this is something is happening here. It's almost like a space is put in here that shouldn't be. See what's happening over here. This is one column. Looks like this is aligning from first to second column, but the third column, I think it has to do with this space. The spacing here is not right. So let's go ahead and delete that out. Must be like a weird space right there. Same thing with this one. We want that to be subhead. Let's go ahead and double click on subhead. Let's go back to indents and spacing again. And let's take that space after off. I think that's what's screwing it up. Yep, perfect. That's what's happening. All right, so with just the subhead style sheet, just double click on it, just take the indents and spacing off 0, because that's just throwing your baselines off. Now they actually are perfect. Okay, that just took me a while. And then, you know, play around with this. I think aligning the text box to your margin is a good idea. So I just did your graphic here. Let's arrange send to back so we're not selecting it and that it's behind there. You could probably pull this in a little bit. You have room here, so just pulling it in. And then you can kind of play around with this, where maybe this comes over here so you have more space. So fitting, full frame proportionally, same thing here. Full frame proportionately, there we go. That looks good. I would probably have this so it meets, I'm gonna bring this to the front, meets from the top to the bottom margin right there. Perfect. And maybe make this just a little less bold in color. Oh, you have it 88%. Okay, let's try like 5 or 6. Just because we don't want that to get in the way of the information. That looks pretty good. Same thing with this, you know, maybe take that down. So it's not like the first thing that you see. It's just like a decoration in the background. All right, so that looks pretty good. It's easier to read. I think I would pull this down. Let's pull this all the way down and we'll kind of align it to the margins. There we go. So the big space in between. And then you can kind of play around with this. You could probably bring this down even more. Maybe bumping width. Width doesn't really have to be capitalized, by the way. Same with on. The non-big, you know, words like that, you can leave uncapitalized. Just steps engaging your clients. I'd probably bump this down, shift return. And then A doesn't have to be big A. Designer, there we go. All right. And I would make a paragraph stuff for this and just name it newsletter headline, newsletter masthead. Let's name it that. Just so we can easily kind of pinpoint this. And you know, if you're doing this, you're doing multiple newsletters, it'll be helpful to create a master for that, or a style guide, sorry. Let's take the stroke off of that. And then you have, I would probably just do like a square here, just because you have squares everywhere. You know, maybe just having this area be, what you could do is have this whole area be that image and go file place. I'll show you a trick. Object fitting. And then I would send this to back, arrange send to back. So it's behind that. And then I would select just your green layer, fill, and I would dial the opacity down, but just enough where you can kind of see the background texture. That's kind of cool. And then if you do that, I would definitely re-break this so that, you know, it works for, you know, for instance, I probably would do center align. Steps on engaging with your clients as a designer. Actually, this would be the name of the newsletter. So if that makes sense for the newsletter, if this is going to be on the masthead all the time, you could even just do engaging clients. I don't know why this is engaging clients as a designer newsletter. Maybe that sounds better. And then that's something that would be consistent on every newsletter. It would just be the article would change. So engaging clients as a designer. And maybe this is a character style. All caps, just this one here. There we go. So it's a little different. That looks good. All right, so then what you'll want to do is adjust these pages. Now this is a completely different article, so you shouldn't have similar elements like this. These should all be different, okay? So that the reader understands that this is a completely new article, doesn't have anything to do with the first one. You want to make sure that the, let's see, body copy, that the, you want to make sure that the article, the body copy stays the same. That's the only thing that stays consistent is the body copy. You can kind of change, I would leave, you know, you could change the subheads. I would just create a new paragraph style for that. And you can change the color of that. But the easiest thing is to, I'm sorry, hold on, is to, there we go, is to change like just having different elements that are different from the first article. So like say if you want to change this to be, oops, subhead article 2. You know, maybe color changes to a blue. Oh, this is headline. Article 2 headline. And I would make this much bigger. Maybe 24. Let's do auto. Looks good. There we go. You know, just kind of make it look a little different than the second article. We want to make sure we have a distinction between the two. So maybe, for instance, you had these. Oh, that's another thing. I probably would have these elements repeated somewhere here in the background, just so we have a connection, a cohesiveness. Send to the back. There we go. And then say for this article, maybe you do something a little different where, you know, you're just going to do solid bars, for instance, different colors. Let's do 0 stroke. Let's do a blue. Bring this forward. About the whole frame here. Let's bring everything down. Let's make this blue. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It's starting a little differently here. These copy boxes should be connected, by the way. Just FYI. I'll show you here in a second. I don't know why they're not, but we'll fix that here. I'm going to make this 2 columns. Let's bring this down. We can always bleed this to the bottom. Okay. Let me show my normal view here so I can see all my guides. Okay. Subhead. And again, you can do a new subhead, article 2. I think we had that article 2 subhead. There we go. Perfect. Take out that extra space in there. This should be in, you know, you should have these flowing together. You know, this should be in here. You shouldn't have two copy boxes. This should all be flowing together. And then this box should be linked to this box. And it's not. So that's kind of be a problem. So let's go ahead and click. Where'd it go? Click on this, click on that little red dot, and this is all the copy we need to flow into the next box. You just didn't link them right here. So let's go ahead and paste that in right here. There we go. Return. And then we just want to make this all body copy. And then these are subhead article 2. Yeah, you have some spacing things going on here. Like an extra space in there, some stuff you have to move around. Just delete all this stuff from your first article. You don't want that in there, like I said. Go ahead and bleed this off. Where's your bleeds at? Go file, document, setup. You don't have your bleeds set up. So file, document, setup, put a 0.5 bleed on bottom, all sides, so that you know where this bleeds. So you have bleeds pulled out. Say if this is bleeding on this edge, we need to bleed this over here. We need to bleed this off. So once your newsletter goes to print, there's no weird white gaps if the web press were to shift, for instance. We'll pull this down a little bit. Just make sure everything's aligned here. And same thing here. Let's go ahead and now here I'm going to do content proportionately. There we go. Let's try this way. Get just a little bigger. Pull this down. Looks pretty good. Let's go a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. I'm just making the box a little smaller each time. And then I'm kind of manipulating like where this kind of flows. I know this looks really easy on my end, but I've been doing it forever. So just kind of bear with me. And hopefully this video, you're able to like rewind, kind of watch it slowly and make those changes. Now I'm just gonna pull this up so that it aligns with that. Okay, so this should all be fitting. So with that being said, I'm gonna make this a little smaller. And I'm gonna pull this to the left side, and let's go ahead and make this kind of a line on the left side here so that we can put a text wrap on here so that we don't have any copy that's behind this image once we bump this up. Okay, I'm bumping up the text box so we have more room for all of our text because it's starting to get pretty tight. All right, so that works. We're going to pull in our element here so it's aligning with the why don't we go with no fill? No fill, just a stroke, okay. And then we're gonna pull this in. If you do a line like that, just take the line tool, let's redo this, and just click and drag out a line and you can change the size here. It's a very simple thing. You're not doing like a shape. All right, now we just have to fix some of these weird spaces here. There we go. And again, our baselines are not aligning, so we just have to make sure we're paying attention to the Article 2 now. Remember how we changed that to take off the space after? We want to make sure that that's all set correctly. Yeah, see the spacing is off here. All lines, okay, we don't want this to be aligning. So go ahead and just change that. That should help. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. I think that's one of our issues here with the bad breaks. This is a really big headline. So let's try 14 points instead of 16. That might help with not only your spaces, but also, yes, see how it helped the alignment now? Good, perfect. Now everything is aligning. Perfect, 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 good. All right, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and massage this just a little bit. I'm gonna pull this down, pull this around. That looks good. You have room up here. Let's put an ending. Mine. Let me go all the way across, maybe 2 points. I'll bump this up just a little bit. Now this is not aligning because we have because this is a text wrap. So hold on. Let me pull this box up just a little bit. And there's a weird space going on right here. Not sure what this is. Okay, that doesn't look like it's linked here. Okay. For some reason, when you have to link these boxes. So this box has to link with this box. There we go. All right, so what I would do, and it looks like you might have some weird, just make sure the copies, it looks like this is missing copy here. Because you're resetting the type, just make sure you read through here, see if you have everything okay as far as like the type. It looks like we are missing type right in front of this type. Okay, and then of course, these all have to be set to all lines. Go back and put that set to all lines, and then just make sure there's no spacing after on the head subheads. Let's see what else we got here. Just a little copy left over. Where is this linking to? Okay, just a little bit of copy left over. So we should just make this smaller. And see how it pushes up everything. Perfect. I'm going to put a little bit more of a space underneath this text wrap. So with the text wrap selected, I'm going to uncheck this link because I only want the bottom to be affected. I'm going to give it just a little bit more space under there. Like right there is perfect. And then go throughout and see if you have any widows, in your copy. Here's what it looks like with the trim off. You can fix, your image placement, all that good stuff. I'd probably bring this down a little bit. And then maybe like that. Something like that would be clean looking. And then maybe having this line go all the way to the edge here, bring it to the front. I think we had this actually come to the margin. Let me see on here. Yeah. So we can actually pull it a little bit more inward towards the margin there. And bring this down just a little bit. Perfect. So you can kind of see how this article here is looking different than this article here. We can then bring, very unifying elements, like for instance, this bar up here, we can bring it over here, same width, all that good stuff. So that it connects a little bit better. This is a little bit of a pain in the butt image there. There we go, we go. Perfect. And then I would just bring down this line a little bit so you can actually see it. If you still want to keep it, you don't necessarily have to. You could just keep it on the bottom. I think that looks good. So you have the unifying element, which is that blue, bar. You can tell it's, the same article. And then this is a different article, but everything else is cohesive. The typeface is the same font. It's just changing the same boldness for the intro copy. You could do the same here if you want to do intro copy. But it's consistent, but then again, you can tell it's two different articles, which is what we want. All right, now I would just go to your parent pages real quick. I would pull this over some so that you can see the page numbers a little bit more towards the edge. I don't know if you have a space here. Oh, okay. Don't move these. These should be all the way to the left together. That's not a tab. What we want to change, okay, we'll want to keep that. And then what we'll want is just like a tab, say like do a 0.5 left tab there. Click OK. Take your cursor, delete, and then hit tab. Same thing over here. It looks like tabs are a little tricky. So I get the fact that you just don't want to change these. So pull these over. We don't want to change these. We want to keep these where they are on the edge of the page. Let's just clear all. Let's clear all. Click OK. Let's go back. I think because we need to have these all the way to the right. Okay, or left, sorry. It should be all the way to the left. I think this is what's screwing me up here. You don't really want to mess around with these. You want to do a right alignment. Probably, let's do. I'm going to do like a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then go right in front of this word here and hit tab. And that should get you where you need to be. Although now this A is acting up. So we go back to tabs. I'm going to pull this in a little bit. There we go. Perfect. So you have that page number right at the corner there. Same thing here. I'm going to save it. And then when I go back to my pages, you can see, oh, that first one's not set right. Yeah, so we got to go back to your right page. And instead of hitting A, we need a special character there. So take your type tool, select the A, go up to object. I'm sorry, go up to type, insert special character, markers, current page number. That's all you need to do, save it. And it'll take that A and give it a page number when you go to your regular pages. So now it should be page 3. Yep, page 4 looks good. There we go. So page 4, you can see at the very bottom. Here's page 2 and page 3. And they're set, you know, in the corner perfectly. The way that you had them before was a little bit too offset. All right, well, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, but, you know, go back, listen to this, make your adjustments so that you're, you know, kind of learning the flow of things.